Is it okay to chase payments during COVID-19? It's a difficult time for everyone at the moment, especially when it comes to money. I've had a number of conversations with clients, friends and other business owners about the delicate matter of how to approach outstanding invoices or current payment requirements. So is it okay or even moral to ask for payments during the current pandemic? The answer is yes, absolutely yes, but it's how you go about it that's important. My thoughts are, there are 3 different types of scenarios and 1 exception. So your customer, 1, is still able to trade, marginally or fully. 2, has been forced to close their business for a period of time. 3, no longer has work due to their customers being forced to close. And the exception, 4, has sadly had to close for good. I appreciate there are other influencing aspects here too, such as childcare, homeschooling, vulnerabilities, supply and demand, but fundamentally they can all be factored somewhere into the scenarios that we've already mentioned. So let's look at each of these scenarios individually. Scenario 1 is your customer is still able to trade. So this first one is the simplest. In this instance, we would assume that if they are using your services in any capacity, it is because they have the forward need and therefore an income off the back of that. In this circumstance, you can treat your credit control processes in the same way that you always have. And I'm assuming here that you've always followed the golden rules around building good relationships and providing excellent customer service. However, that being said, at the moment, during this coronavirus crisis, it won't always be that cut and dry. So another complication here is your customer's customer. Whilst your customer might be trading fully, their customers might only be partially open or not at all, so the difficulty comes with them receiving payment also. The best way to understand this is to speak with your customers regularly to see how they are being affected and have open discussions around payment plans before you supply your goods. That way, everyone knows and agrees how it will work before you get started and you can mitigate any nasty surprises. In addition to this, when sending your invoice, add a new line or paragraph to your email that shows your understanding of the current climate and reiterates your newly agreed terms. If payment is not received and your invoice becomes overdue, you should still feel comfortable following it up. After all, you did agree considered terms in the first place. Keep in mind though that things may have changed for your customer, so be flexible but make sure that the outcome is fair and reasonable for you both. Moving on to scenarios 2 and 3, which can be treated in the same way, your customer's business is closed for a period. If your customer has been forced to close their business due to COVID-19 government regulations or a lack of custom themselves, this requires a little more understanding and tact, but it is still absolutely okay to discuss payments. I've used the word chase in the title of this blog, and we all tend to use it in general. I do, however, prefer the term follow-up, so I'm going to use that here for now as I feel it better reflects the difficult times that we're in, especially when it comes to cash flow. Whilst businesses have had to close for various reasons, that won't automatically always mean that they're cash poor. The key here is to have open conversations with each of your customers to establish their current financial position and move forward following up invoices with that in mind. Some customers will need more understanding and leeway than others, but regardless of the outcome of the conversations, you must remember that you have provided a service, and as you understand your obligations to pay at some point, so will your customer. It's not about showing a lack of empathy or losing your moral compass. It's about maintaining good relationships and staying engaged with your customer. Cash flow is the lifeblood of all businesses, and if you're going to survive in these harsh times, knowing your income position and the difficulties your customers are up against is absolutely key. And finally, let's talk about the exception. Your customer's business is closed for good. This is terribly sad all round. The impact of COVID-19 on some businesses is that they have had to make the difficult decision to shut down completely. Worse, the impact to you is that you have lost income and a good professional relationship. If this has or does happen to you, it's likely to be extremely difficult to get outstanding payments for your invoices. In rare cases, your customer may have taken the decision to close based on other factors than monies in the bank. If this is the case, you'll likely be aware, and again you can follow the steps that we've already talked about for scenarios 1, 2 and 3. So that's open discussions, empathy, organising payment plans, etc. Unfortunately, it isn't very likely, and so depending on the total value you have outstanding, you may wish to seek legal advice to understand your rights and position. Regardless of any of the scenarios that we've detailed and explained here, the significant element of chasing or following up payments with your customers is the relationship that you have with them in the first place. If you get that right, you shouldn't ever be afraid to discuss remuneration for your services. It isn't a shock that you expect to be paid, but the way you approach it is what makes all the difference. If you'd like to chat through your specific circumstances when it comes to chasing payments, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can give us a call on 01903 688 789 or send us an email to makeithappen@mbsmih.com. We look forward to hearing from you.